Okay, hello everyone, good day. My name is Angel, and I'm going to be the first one who is going to discuss about consumers' perception, and I am a member of Group 3. Now, um, let's go ahead and tackle now about consumers' perception. Now, um, when it comes to perception, perception is what we always use to determine, understand, and know things that surrounds us. Okay. Now, by using our senses, such our eyes, our nose, or the sense of our sight, of our smell, of our taste, hearing, and feeling. Of course, that's our uh, uh, receptors for our sensory organs. So now we know already what uh, uh, perception means. Let us focus on our topic on consumers' perception and let us find out the key concept of our topic. Now, let's go ahead and tackle about perception. Okay, guys, what comes into our mind when we say perception? Now, perception is actually a process by which an individual selects, organizes, and interprets stimuli into a meaningful and coherent picture of the world. Of course. Now, it's like using our senses. These senses of ours takes this perception of all the things that surrounds us, living things, um, living things, dead things, everything, right? Now, of course, under perception, there are also elements of perception. First, sensation. Second is absolute sensation. Third is differential threshold. And the last one is subliminal perception. Now, let's go ahead and um, tackle those kinds of elements, okay? Now, but first, let's go ahead and figure out first the sensory receptors. Now, what is our sensory receptors or our sensory organs? Of course, human organs such as our eyes, our nose, our mouth, our ears, and our skin. Of course. Now, we use um, this receptors or um, sensory organs of ours to determine what types of things that actually surrounds us. And of course, when it comes to consumers' behavior, things about products and consumer goods. Now, on our skin, we use our lotion. Sense of our taste, we eat. Of course, that's our life source as a humans. We eat. And our eyes, we use it as our sight. Because if you don't have it, you're bulag, of course. Now, then, ears to hear. If you don't have that, you're bungol. And your nose. If you don't have any nose, you're dead. Right. Now, I'm just kidding. And of course, let's go ahead and tackle now those kinds of elements, okay? Now, the elements such as the first is absolute threshold. Now, what does it mean when you say absolute threshold? Now, on our class, the definition of absolute threshold will be the lowest level at which an individual could experience a sensation, and of course, absolute threshold. That's how we feel. We eat, we see, we hear. That's absolute. Of course, that's given. That's actually common sense. Now, in additional information, the common examples of these thresholds, which is being used to examine different types of consumer goods and products, as are mentioned, for the human senses, of course, again and again, human senses, because perception use all of our sensory organs. Now, for instance, we use our senses, like our sense of hearing, which varies on sound detection, varying on levels of volume. For consumers will be able to detect through certain stimuli that may be able to hear. And of course, now when it comes to sensory, sensing our using our sense of hearing. Now, on this upcoming occasion, September is considered as Christmas. What comes into our mind on that upcoming occasion, Christmas, and use and um, focus it on our sense of hearing. Now, when we say Christmas, there is also sound, right? Like we could already hear the melody, the music of Christmas, like "All I Want for Christmas Is You" on the radio, right? Now, that is how we have our perception of hearing, and that kind of hearing actually takes our attention to something purchase or something to do with our behavioral aspects as a human being. When it comes to businesses or companies will actually make this kind of advertisements and use the human perception to take our attention, right? But by hearing, that's advertisement. Now, we're through with hearing, and now on our sense of sight, also called vision. This refers to the levels of the smallest level of light that a consumer or a participant can detect. Now, going back to the occasion Christmas, when it comes to vision, Christmas has Christmas lights. Now, companies, businesses that produce that kind of consumer goods, such as Christmas lights, which is actually has a blinking light. Now, actually, using our sense of sight, that's also a way how they persuade us humans and use our perception of sight to actually catch our attention to purchase that things, right? Commonly, yes. Well, actually, that is good because Christmas has many themes, many topics, many gatherings, many social events. We could actually be in our family. We could be actually on our friend's house. We could actually be on our relative's house. Now, it's quite relevant that they actually have this kind of the company has its kind of focus on human perceptions by not giving out paper, but by using those kind of products and consumer goods. That's their way to advertise their certain products that they have produced, right? Common sense. Now, we're through with hearing and sight, and now let's focus for the sense of smell. This involves the smallest concentration that a consumer or a participant is able to smell. Now, well, actually, not focusing on a certain company or a certain business using our perception as humans. Now, inside of our houses, or maybe in our barangay, of course, in our barangay, there are carinderias, right? If we do not have time to cook, there's actually a near carinderia there in our end. We just need to buy their product, and you know, when you go through to that kind of carinderia, using our sense of smell, we engage ourselves to purchase their products, the foods that they actually cooked, and they will sell it to us. But then we have this perception using our sense of smell that I'm not that actually have this kind of focus that by smelling, even though we're just walking through or just walking by, uh, just by smelling, we engage ourselves to buy that things, and that is our perception using our sense of smell. That's actually quite good. That or actually that's actually common that food will actually spread out its aroma, right? Now, using our sense of smell, we engage ourselves to buy products, not only food, but also to perfumes, um, lotions, um, facial. But by then, generalize, generalized. Uh, how do we smell things? Okay. Now, let's go ahead and focus on our sense of feeling or touch. This level of stimuli requires the detection of our stimuli that could vary dramatically depending upon the part of the body that is being touched. Now, here's the thing, ladies, I do know that you all have these products that you wanted to have your skin white. Your face doesn't have blemishes, doesn't have freckles. You want it to be red and white and blush, right? Now, by using our senses, a sense of feeling, we purchase products purchase products that could actually take care of our skin, and that is a good thing. That company or businesses actually produces those kinds of products to engage ourselves on purchasing them so that we can enhance our skin, right? And of course, that is how our receptors work, and that is how our receptors connected to perception. Our perception has its focus on certain consumer goods or products. Now let's go ahead and tackle now the sensory adaptation. Like our sensory adaptation, it's like the other term is getting used to. On certain sensations becoming accommodated to a certain level of stimulation, like in additional information about actually, this is also a gradual decrease over time in the responsiveness of the sensory system. For this kind of adaptation on consumer behavior and perception, they often choose or believe that on a certain product that they use on a daily basis, they would rather stick to it rather than trying new brands or so, to buy it, to use it, and to consume it. It's like when we say getting used to, it's like based on love. When we are getting used to being hurt, that pain, when it comes to love, the pain actually is going to make you numb. But actually, that's going to be nonsense. If I'm going to compare it to our class, but then actually it's kind of relevant because getting used to something or getting used to a certain product is actually a kind of perception that a human has, because why would you try to use new things when you actually have this one product that you're used to, and you do have the benefits of that product, and why do you need to get the other things, or the other product or other consumer goods, right? You don't know what types of ingredients that they have there, right? So that is why sensory adaptation is termed as getting to use to, because it's certain sensations become accommodated, as it says. Now, I hope you get that. now, let's go ahead and focus on the differential threshold. Now, this is actually a very quite very complex topic because differential threshold actually is a minimal difference that can be detected between two stimuli, not just ours, but other things. Now, also known as a JND, or just noticeable differences in just noticeable time, or just a specific time. Well, we use that on a daily basis, but let's just go ahead and discuss it, okay? Now, for additional information, going back to our receptors or our senses, all have threshold that needs to be met before any changes in similar are sensed. For example, I gave 10 apples to Miss Sonia. Now, and suddenly, I gave her another piece of apple. Now, well, actually, for that example, that's actually quite irrelevant to the topic, but actually, it's quite more relevant. Now, then we saw the differences, and it took one apple to notice one sudden change, right? For example, 10 pieces of apple was a significant amount that I provided Miss Sonia and gave it to her, that she purchased it. But by then, as I mentioned, just one apple, because that one apple differs. Is it whether it is purchased or not, or did I give it to her freely, or did Miss Sonia bought that one apple again? No, that's actually the differential threshold, and the differential threshold just was the one apple. Now, because differential threshold doesn't compare, but then we use it on a daily basis. Who among us you go to our public market here and purchase consumer goods like pork, chicken, ingredients, garlic, bay leaves, carrots, tomatoes, fish, everything. But we do have this perception of bidding, right? Bidding. 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 We bid. It, instead of purchasing a certain product with this specific amount, we bid. Manang, pwede ayo. There we go. That is the differential threshold. Now, before I end my topic and provide it to the next discusser, now, let me just go ahead and discuss it now about the subliminal perception. Subliminal, okay? It's not subliminal, it's subliminal. Now, it occurs when the stimulus is below the level of consumers' awareness, right? The word awareness. But by then, by using our receptors, our sensory organs, we're already well aware of, or we do have the absolute awareness that we know what certain products that we could see, feel, hear, taste, and yes, those kind of things. Now, there were actually techniques that embeds tiny figures that are inserted into magazines, advertising by using high-speed photography or airbrushing. Now, additional information about that, because also this is quite also a complex kind of topic about subliminal perception. Now, also known as subliminal messages, or are messages either visual or auditory, right? Only visual, but just by using our sense of sight, just by our sense of sight. Now, that are presented may not be audible. There is no audio, there is no feeling, there is no tasting, there is no smelling. Just only seeing. Seeing, okay? Seeing. Now, that the conscious mind might register it, but audible enough for the subconscious mind to repeat it over and over again. Now, for example, this pen, okay? This pen. I'm actually using this when I do have the interview when I resigned to my work, when I started working at iCorp. Now, how did I purchase this pen? Without any using my sensory organs, just by using my sight. Now, that's a very interesting, because this pen, I only saw this pen, for example, I only saw this pen on a newspaper, or a magazine, or a picture, or a photo of a friend, etc. Now, this pen, actually, I don't have interest with it. But by then, upon seeing on magazines, photos, physical photos, or newspapers. Now, why did I buy this pen? And why is the information here says that audible enough for the subconscious mind to repeat it over and over again? Now, here's the thing. In my subconscious mind, when I saw this pen's image, without any reading all of the advertisements about it, I don't care about that. I just saw the picture. Okay. Now, in my subconscious mind, I'm saying, hala ka nami, bebe. Ay, hala ka tanda. Amazing. There we go. That is what my subconscious mind is actually saying to me. That on my perception of my subconscious mind here, I do have this eagerness to purchase this kind of pen. And now, just like memorizing a song or a verse or a quotes, maybe. On subliminal perception, it doesn't need any more about the sense of our smell, taste, feeling, and hearing. But by then, it only uses visual auditory. And that is subliminal perception. It only focuses on visual and auditory advertisements about consumer goods and products. And now, before I end this topic about the topic that I had, let me just go ahead and transfer this to my to the next reporter, Sir Joel. It's your turn. Have a great day, guys.
Good day, good afternoon everyone. Today we will gonna discuss about the aspects of perceptions. In a consumer behavior, it is the selection of purchases that decision process should make. And the three aspects of perceptions are selection, organization, interpretation. In selection, it stands out our attention and attraction in a sense of sight, sound, smell, touch, and touch. It's the consumer awareness of buying product for its own safety. So muna sa ang selection ginakwantagid ang aton nga kung buy ta sa product gina usa ta gid ato nga sense bala our sight, sound, smell to ano gid ang klase sang product ang background ta gina usa ta aton nga senses. So muna sa selection. So the next is organization. Consumers tend to organize different groups and perceive them as a separate, distinct sensation. Meaning, in organization, you need to tend to organize people into a ground of relationships. So, you need organize people to tend organize the people into a ground of relationship. So, amo na sa ang ginatawag na organization. Next, the interpretation. In interpretation, the feelings response triggered by a stimulus such as emotional response can range from positive to neutral. The consumer's behavior, attitude, feeling is unpredictable when it comes to emotional response. So amo na sa ang sa interpretation naman niya, amo na sa kung mag-buy ta product, ang aton nga emotional ang ginagamit sa interpretation, no? Then next, the perception selection. Overall perception selection is the consumer previous experience to the product they buy or buying the product to motivates them. Ang sa perception selection, overall perception selection is the consumer's previous experience to the product they buy or buying the product to motivates them. So amo na sa previous experience na sa perception selection, no. Gasili ka sang imo nga product nga may previous ka ng experience, di ba? So amo na siya. Then next we will go to some marketing variables influencing consumer perception. Number 1, there is nature of product, physical attributes of product, package design, brand name, advertisement, and commercials, position of advertisement, and editorial environment. Nature of product. Sa nature of products, classification of the product and services considering its various attributes or like. And then the physical attribute of the product, so all attribute meaning such as its size, color, and material needed by the consumer and composition. So amo na sa gitawag nga physical attribute of the product, amo na sa ginatawag nga imo sabla nga size, gusto mo nga color, gusto mo nga mga materials nga needed sa imo nga consumer sa composition, no? So then next, the package design refers to the creation of the exterior of a product that includes choices in a material and from as well. So amo na sang package design. Kabalo naman kata kuno nung package design, exterior kag interior na sa isa ka product, mag-buy ka bala o ano nami mas akong hindi kung outlook sang product, no? Package design. Brand name is the simplest form of brand name, is a form of signature that gives credit to the creator of particular work. So brand name, understand na sa ang brand name, simplest form of name, ngadan lang iskan signature na pangitaon mo kung ano nga sa ngalan sang brand name sang product. So nung nag-create sa particular nga kung sinong gubra. Advertisements commercial. Advertisements is a message paid for by a company additional through a mass of medium to a target audience. So nung kita sa TV wala kag sa mga radio nga mga advertisement, amo sang natawag nga advertisement and commercial. So to kuan sa ilang nga product nga mabay mo pagid para ma-like mo nga i-buy. So doon the advertisement and the commercial. Sa commercial, advertisement that runs specifically broadcast media like television or radio. So understand na no? Radio, television, yung natawag na commercials. Position Position and strategy allows a company to focus on particular aspect its product services. Position of advertisement strategy allows so company to focus on a particular aspects its product or services. Muna sa ang posisyon sang advertisement strategy nila so particular product and services to focus, no? So the next is the editorial environment. Sa editorial environment encompasses the philosophy of the medium's management and ownership as well as the talents and attitude and attributes. So editorial environments encompasses the philosophy of the medium management and ownership as well as the talents of the attributes. So understood naman ano? Imo na sa nga philosophy sa medium of management mo bla kunong imo nga talents sa pag-edit. Next the concepts or concepts concerning selective perceptions. We have selective perception, selective exposure, selective attention, and perceptual defense kag perceptual blocking. First, selective perception. Ano ang what do you call that? Select. So again, we will continue. Concepts concerning selective perceptions. There are 5. First, selective perception. Second, selective exposure, selective attention, perceptual defense, perceptual blocking. First, selective perception, meaning it is the emotional discomfort and contradict our prior beliefs. An example of a teacher who has favoritism in the class. Second, selective exposure, meaning it is a psychological use in a media that often individuals to favor information they reinforce. Selective exposure, meaning it is psychological use in media that often individuals to favor information they reinforce. Then the third, selective attention, allows us to tune out unimportant details and focus on what matters. So ginakuha niyang imo nga retrieve yung imong attention para ang imong attention sa iya lang, no? So the fourth is the perceptual defense, the process by which is the thoughts that certain stimuli are either not perceived or are distorted. The fifth, the final, is the perceptual blocking, meaning because of the visually overwhelming nature of the world they live in. So, okay, and then we will proceed. Distorting influence. Okay, what do you mean by distorting influence? To distort is to change the physical shape of something to influence. To influence your customer bala. Amo na siyang natawag ng distorting influence. So we have here 6. First, physical appearance, stereotypes, irrelevant cues, first impression, jumping to conclusion, and halo effect. First, physical appearance, defining traits or features about your body. Stereotypes, it is the particular types of product, image, or idea or thing. Irrelevant cues, when people make interpretation on the basis of relevant and unmeaningful stimuli. First impressions is the event when the person first encounters another person and forms a mental image of that person. The fourth is a jumping to conclusion, is a psychological term referring to a communicate action obstacle. The last is the halo effect, the tendency for impression created in one area to influence opinion in other area. So muna sa ang distorting influence sa mga customer. Okay, we will go now to the issue in consumer imagery. Issues in consumer imagery. First, we have the positioning and repositioning. Second, positioning of services, perceived price, perceived quality, retail store image, manufacturer's image, perceived risks. First, we have the positioning and repositioning. Is how consumers view a product related to competition, something firms find that advantageous to reposition the product. Amo na sa ang imong advantages, amo na sa ang advantages mo kung mag-repositioning ka o mag-positioning ka sa imong product to other. No? Positioning, we go now to the second, positioning of services. Available position services customer needs and stands out from the competition in a way that has meaning to customers. The third, perceived price, value which and customer are willing to pay for a particular product or services. Perceived quality refers to the quality that customers acknowledge are look, touch, and feel. For example, in a showroom, the customer would first take a glance around the car, then open the door, sit on the seat. So amo ni sa no, kung customer mo magkadto sa imo, i-try na ang imo nga product, i-touch siya, i-feel ya, i-masit man na sa imo nga gina product to secure kung mayo ang imong product. Then the fifth, retail store image, refers to the way in which the retailer is perceived by the public. Ang image ang imong retail store image, kung paano ka kuan sa image bala nga kuan sa ka imo customer para maingganyo sila. Manufacturer image, so meaning the image of the manufacturer of manufacturing places. Ang image nimo sa manufacturer kagang manufacturer places nimo. And then the last is the perceived risks. Is that the uncertainty is perceived risks is the uncertainty a consumer has when buying items, most of those that are particularly expensive. So amo na sa expensive ang ibakal mo, ang iban ang imo ibakal expensive nga ang iban ang sa iban ng mga product barato lang para mo sa iban nga nagbakal agad sang mahal, no? Mo sa tawag nga perceived risks. So that's all, and that is my reporting.